Hello and welcome to this special series, Financial Experts Unplugged. Joining me today is Gahlaut, who's the CEO at FinEdge.in, someone who's been making giant strides in digitizing the way we buy and sell mutual funds. Thanks very much, Harsh. A pleasure having you here.
Thank you for having us over.
Your journey's been for about 8 years now.
Yes.
And I think you've been making a lot of responsive steps in facilitating digital transactions for people. How's that playing out for you?
It's been playing out very well, and it's a very interesting place to be. So, constant change, something new happening every day. And it's just when you're building something out from scratch, it's a great place to be in because whenever you look back 6 months, things have changed drastically and you moved. So I feel this is still nascent, but it's still, I think, something which is going to evolve very, very, very quickly and puts up interesting challenges every day.
Do you believe, Harsh, that especially the younger people, the millennials as we call them, or the generation after that, being digital savvy as they are, do you believe that when it comes to investing, they prefer a very seamless experience which is digital because they're so used to doing everything else online? Why should it not be the same for financial products as well?
I think so, and everything is moving in that direction from what you eat, shop, etc., everything else. So I don't think that there really is no option but to be in that space if you want to address the next generation. Of course, it comes with its own challenges. It has a good side, it also has a bad side to it, like social platform, like all of them. But yes, that is the way forward. I have at least no doubt about that.
So let's talk a little about mutual funds and how they are going online. So today, if I wish to buy a mutual fund, can I seamlessly do it online, or is there anything physical that comes into my life?
No, I think as far as transactions are concerned, it is fairly seamless. The fine print only says that it's fairly important for you to be KYC compliant. If not, there are certain restrictions. For example, you can invest up to 50,000 rupees only if you're not KYC compliant. And if you have to be KYC compliant, it might add a few steps or you might have to go offline.
But I can do it online, these few steps that you talked about?
In the middle, when Aadhaar was allowed, it was far more seamless. Okay. Yes, you can still do video KYC, etc. But the steps are a little more, that's about it.
So let's talk a little about what the regulator has been trying to push quite extensively, which is the direct route, right? The regular versus the direct plan. And we get a lot of questions around that from people, which is the better option. So if you can first explain direct, because again, I think it emerged out of the regulator realizing that increasingly people are doing transactions online, and therefore when there is no person in between, why should there be a commission?
Yes.
So if you can explain the whole direct principle as you see it, and secondly, the difference between regular and direct.
So I see this a little differently as far as what you've said about the regulator. I feel the regulator to a large extent brought in direct, specifically because it wanted to open up the options for people in terms of whether they could go to an advisor or otherwise and negotiate in terms of whatever fee they want to pay. I don't think the regulator wanted to make advisory free for clients. And
Sure.
I see a very common misconception in this space. A lot of people feel that, and I'm speaking about the retail space,
Sure.
They feel that any smart or learned investor, etc., the advantage that they have is that they can go direct. That's where I differ, because even the most learned HNIs or large investors, etc., or family offices, etc., they all prefer taking their advisor and negotiating a fee, but they still take an advisor and still pay a fee. So I think this is a misconception, and over a period of time, I think this will also evolve. But the good part from the regulator today is that rather than having a standard set of fees, they've opened up this area by bringing in direct, where you could probably negotiate or have multiple options in terms of how would you like to invest.
So it has to be or the right way to invest is, and I'm asking this and reiterating this is because, as you rightly said, there's a misconception. People think direct means I don't need to take advice from anyone.
Absolutely.
And we at the Money Mile always say that, look, you must take advice from whoever you want to. Direct is a way in which you do your transaction.
Yes, absolutely.
But has that lowered costs for investors?
I think costs have got lowered across both parts of it. So even if you were to go regular today, the TER cuts, etc., have resulted in lower costs, and the regulator is very keen on passing on the benefit of scale through cuts in TER. That has also shrunk the difference between a direct and a regular plan somewhat. So yes, there would. If you were to look at equity, maybe about a 0.5% difference between cost between a regular plan and a direct plan. In debt, it would be much lower.
So firms like you who've chosen the online route, what kind of a experience are you able to give to an investor? I mean, if I'm a newcomer, I want to invest in a mutual fund, I first need to know what is a mutual fund. Once I've learnt that, I need to be able to be told that this is what you need to invest in, and then comes the third step of completing my transaction.
Absolutely.
Are you able to provide all these three links with technology?
So we are a financial planning company first, and we chose the digital medium for our presence. So we're very old school when it comes to the thought process behind financial planning or investments. Of course, we use new age tools to deploy those.
Okay.
So that's where we stand. And now, according to at FinEdge, what we do, for example, is that we believe that even if you skip one part of the financial planning process, which lead to investments, and if you miss out even one step, it basically means that there's a major gap in your thought process versus your investment. And that, according to us, will not enable your investment to create wealth.
Can you explain that a little more?
Investment, or let's say mutual funds, for example, are just a tool, right? To how you align your requirements, your needs, your goals, your risk profile. I think one of the key things which people are not aware about is your risk-adjusted returns. So I feel that there are many steps you have to go through before you should invest. And if you put the cart before the horse, it can lead to a very, very weird situation where if your expectations are not right, if your understanding, like you just spoke about, they're not aligned to your investment, it will lead to a bad experience, because this market will always be volatile. It will have cycles. We all know that. And the only way you can actually, according to me, the only way you can create wealth is if you have patience and your thought process is aligned to your investment, and you get rewarded for that patience. Unfortunately, whenever you invest, you forget what happened in the last 6 months. So unless you have a plan in front of you, it's constantly reminded about in terms of where you have to go, your goals are aligned, etc., etc. There are 8-9 different steps that we do in financial planning, and all of them to some extent contribute to the fact that you're aligned to the path that you want to walk down. Of course, the outcome could be a mutual fund, etc., etc. Many options are there. So the problem is a lot of people are looking at mutual funds as a solution. Mutual funds in the end are just an investment tool. The solution actually is financial planning. And that's what at least the core of FinEdge is all about.
And you're saying that you can do all of this online without a physical interface?
Absolutely. From what my knowledge is, we are a full suite digital company, and with a core of financial planning. And we follow every step of the way. For us, technology has a completely different meaning for us, and we speak to lots of people in the industry. I know all of this is nascent, so the natural outcome of technology is UI UX deployment. While that is nice, I believe technology can do a lot more. So of course our business model has many advantages and disadvantages. One of the biggest advantage being since we don't meet clients, but we believe that experts need to lead the conversation with clients as far as financial planning goes. So our technology deployment is to assist humans in delivering far better results. So while we have multiple softwares for all parts of financial planning, the extent of deployment of technology for us is 98% at the back end. How do you manage client relationships better? How do you ensure that quality is maintained? How do you ensure that you give a similar kind of experience to all your clients? How do you ensure not a single step of the financial planning process is skipped for anybody? Now, when you start getting to thousands of clients without technology, this is impossible. So the last 5 to 6 years, I'll just give you a small example. I think one of the common things, including us, one of the platforms that we have is a DIY platform. Unfortunately, most of the conversations today on technology or digital revolve around DIY.
Yes, that you're encouraging
DIY for us is a
regular.
very, very small subset. And just to give you an example of deployment of technology or how technology can be deployed, and going ahead, I'm sure with AI coming in, things will evolve rapidly there as well. but we have about 7 algorithms which drive our DIY platform. That is also goal linked. We currently have about 72 algorithms which drive our relationship management. So it is probably 10 to 20 times more technology deployment on the relationship management side than on the DIY platform. The similarity being, in both cases, we don't meet the client.
Okay, so you're saying that you can today, as a young investor, you're just starting out. That's what we are trying to tell you here at the Money Mile, that you can't not invest, you must invest. People like Harsh and some others have created the ability for you to do it in a completely seamless digital manner, yet not just going and transacting, but also getting the right advice for yourself. Thanks very much, Harsh. A pleasure talking to you.
Thank you
very
Vivek.
much.
Thank
Wish
you so
all
much.
the best.
Thank you.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.